Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, put on your dance shoes. Tasmania's ban on the boogie is coming to an end. From 5 p.m. tomorrow, those keen will be able to stand with a drink and tear up the dance floor. Caps on numbers will be in place, but nightclubs believe the move will save their businesses.
Dust off your dancing shoes. 2020 is going to end with a bang.
Dancing and stand-up drinking will be permitted.
From 5 p.m. tomorrow, you can stand with a beer or get your groove on.
It's very welcome news. It definitely feels like Christmas, and it's been a long time coming. The restrictions have been in place, obviously, for nightclubs for 9 months now.
Hobart's O-Bar has been closed since March, but next Friday the DJ will start spinning discs again.
Of course, we'll be at 50% capacity, but be able to get people back into their workplace.
Under the rules, only 100 can stand with a drink or dance at indoor venues, 250 at outdoor settings. Weddings are included.
This doesn't mean that the shackles come off. This means that, there's relaxation.
I look forward to 5 o'clock on Friday night. I don't think I'll be dancing and possibly not even standing up and drinking.
The hospitality lobby still has its eyes on remaining issues.
Certainly the 1 in 2 square metre rule is a national issue that we would like to see a roadmap into the future and some timelines around that.
Caps on household gatherings will also increase to 100 people. Meanwhile, a man has tested positive for COVID-19 at the Best Western Quarantine Hotel. His family, a woman in her 30s and their 2 young children, tested positive for the virus earlier this week. All 4 will be transferred to the Fountainside Hotel, used by authorities for COVID-positive patients.
There's a 24/7 on-site nursing presence and there is also regular and ready access to medical and also allied health services.
The Premier says the path out of COVID is going to plan, but is warning more cases will arise in hotels.
Tasmanians should not be surprised if we have another case over the next period of this quarantine.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Another state service employee has been stood down following an allegation of historical sexual abuse. It's alleged the abuse was committed more than a decade ago by a person from the state's north. The matter has been referred to police. The state government has not confirmed the gender or employer of the person involved. Meanwhile, a plan to impose mandatory minimum jail time for child sex offenders has failed after it was voted down by the Legislative Council. It was the Liberal Party's 3rd attempt to see the controversial proposal become law, but today all of Labor's upper house MPs and 3 independents voted against it. The opposition says it instead wants stronger penalties for offenders.
Labor's moved amendments and pushed for stronger sentencing on people who commit the most heinous crimes against children by pushing for maximum life sentences. We want to send a very clear message to the courts.
But the government says it's extremely disappointed and has promised not to give up on the plan, saying it will continue to put the legislation before Parliament. Work has begun on a $500 million development at New Norfolk, with new houses, a childcare centre and even a private hospital on the way. Developers say it will transform the region, claiming the plan will create thousands of jobs.
A new era for New Norfolk. The ground is moving around this piece of land, transforming from bushland to the latest subdivision.
We've always invested in regional communities and we think that's a great place to start, and I think that we can really change the face of how the Derwent Valley is perceived in Tasmania.
Artist impressions showcase the scale of what is planned for the mills. Among the features, a 100-bed private hospital, 200 independent living retirement homes, a boutique hotel, and a precinct devoted to selling Tasmania's fresh produce. For families, a childcare centre will complement 700 new homes.
Brought a bit of Gold Coast or Queensland flair, because we are builders up there, to New Norfolk, and reintroducing new floor plans.
Jobs also on offer, with the developers claiming more than 500 will be created in the valley every year until 2040. The region's mayor saying while he was initially sceptical, he's confident the plan will increase the area's viability, especially as the pandemic changes the way people work.
live here, work in Hobart, live here, work in Melbourne or Sydney. You know, you're an hour flight away. So why wouldn't you live in the most beautiful part of the world?
Selling it to Australia, with former rugby league legend Paul Harrigan appointed an ambassador.
Last year I came for the first time, and I want to have a joint here. It's amazing.
The first plots of land go on sale this Saturday, with the opening of an information centre in New Norfolk. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
An $80 million five-star hotel proposed for Launceston's CBD has overcome another obstacle, with the planning tribunal rejecting an appeal against the development. But the proponents will need to address lingering concerns around site contamination. The development is set to include a conference centre, a restaurant, swimming pool, gym and spa. It would be the first five-star hotel in Launceston. There are already 6 in Hobart. A leading economist has declared now is a time to diversify our trading partners. 24 hours after China slapped a ban on Tasmanian timber imports over allegations of pests. Chinese officials have announced any logs that left the state since December 3 would not clear customs. While concerned, the Premier is optimistic this latest act in an ugly trade war won't have major ramifications locally.
We certainly do have some challenges in terms of seafood and wine and now with timber. But whole logs are a very small part of our overall timber exports.
They're going to have to look for markets other than China to export their products.
The forestry industry says it's working closely with the federal government to rectify the situation. State Labor has unveiled an ambitious $150 million transformation of Tasmanian ports. Leader Rebecca White says a lack of investment in port infrastructure like Bell Bay is constraining our export industries.
We need to make sure that they can do that without any inhibitors to their growth, and also look at the opportunities for new technologies.
I think that's always part of the feasibility, isn't it? To look at what the infrastructure is required and how we'll meet that.
Labor believes it will fit with a predicted boom in the state's burgeoning hydrogen market. The countdown is officially on, with just an hour left to go until Tasmania officially opens the 10th season of the Big Bash League. Our reporter John Hunt is at Blunston Arena now, where fans are starting to arrive. Hello there, John. Now you're out and you're amongst it. What's the atmosphere like at the ground?
Good evening, Kim. Well, the atmosphere is great here. How good's this? Cricket's finally back. No, it's been a long wait for our local fans, but finally this match is about to kick off. 8 games will be played between here and Utah's Stadium in December as part of special COVID hubs. Now, the Hurricanes look very different to last year, with up to 6 new players a chance of taking to the field. One of them, Peter Hanscom, will captain the side tonight.
It's quite an experienced bowling attack. So I can sort of talk to them at the start of the over, and then they know their role, they know their best balls.
Now, Kim, COVID regulations will limit the crowd to half the seated capacity here, but local fans will still be in full voice.
Police are appealing for help to locate a Korean national whose last known movements were in Tasmania. Song Ju-yu had been working on a farm in Launceston in March 2019, but he hasn't made contact with his family since June last year. Police believe the 30-year-old is still in Australia, and anyone with information on Mr Yu's whereabouts is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. The search for a paddleboarder off Fortescue Bay has been called off. Authorities received a call from a concerned member of the public yesterday evening about a distressed paddleboarder. But after a thorough air and sea search this morning, police concluded no one was missing. Police say the report was made in good faith. 2 new exhibitions revealing Tasmania's links to the world are preparing to go on display. The Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery is showcasing rare items from its collection, while a Hobart hotel has set aside its walls to tell the story of the first man to reach the South Pole.
A race to the South Pole documented on these hotel walls. It was 109 years ago those inside Hobart's Hadley Orient Hotel witnessed history. Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen, leader of the first expedition to reach the pole, secretly checked in while his accomplishment was announced to the world.
He wanted his king to be the first one to know that he arrived safely.
Now his incredible story is being told at the hotel through a new display.
He's one of the most famous Norwegians in history because of this polar exploration. Managed to get to the South Pole on skis, 3,000 kilometers over 3 months.
Meanwhile, we can't travel overseas, but the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery is bringing the world to Hobart. Its new Around the World in 80 Objects exhibition preparing to open its doors.
From the TMAG collection, which has got about 1 million objects, we've chosen objects that speak to the stories of the different continents, Oceania, Australia, Africa, the Americas, to really present a story.
We've also got objects representing all of our collections as well, so art, decorative arts, cultural heritage, First Peoples art and culture, zoology, the Tasmanian herbarium.
Featuring everything from a European badger to a bronze sculpture by a French artist. Some of these items never displayed before.
It's a really great chance for someone to come out of the shadows, I guess, if you like, for once in sometimes in a very long time.
The exhibition kicks off tomorrow. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
A record $1.1 million will be delivered to Tasmanian medical research thanks to the generosity of locals. From that funding, 17 grants have now been approved by the Royal Hobart Hospital Foundation to tackle health problems over the next year.
It's really vital. We've been listening to stories from our researchers this morning about how difficult it is to get funding, but how valuable their research is.
Getting federal funding is becoming very, very hard for researchers, so this local funding is critically important.
Roughly $100,000 was raised through this year's Edge Abseiling Challenge at Rest Point. Some local platypus are about to hit living room screens as one local tourist operator gets creative. Government and industry groups are pushing originality as a way to attract more customers.
There's something in the waters here at Emu Valley Rhododendron Garden. Platypus.
We have a minimum of 4. We're not absolutely sure because, they're quite slippery little buggers and they all look the same.
These creatures can be difficult to spot, but with cameras soon to be installed in the lakes here, you'll be able to watch a live stream of them from anywhere in the world.
We're setting it up with half a dozen cameras, of which 3 of them will be underwater. The cameras can be adjusted remotely.
Funded by the Regional Tourism Projects program, this is one outside-the-box way the garden is hoping to attract attention.
Projects like this one are really important because it provides not only interest for people when they arrive here, but it's creating awareness for the region.
West by Northwest say that this region is full of hidden gems. They're hoping that innovative plans like this one can put them on the map and bring tourists back.
You can push people to regions as much as you like, but unless there's product there to satisfy them and deliver on the promise when they get there, you're wasting your time.
Part of that is taking products and attractions that we've always had and giving them a fresh new look and promoting them to a market for the first time.
The platypus set to hit screens around the globe early next year. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
First tonight, fantastic news for Tasmanian football. 2 State League stars are on their way to realising their AFL dreams after being picked up in today's rookie draft. Launceston's Isaac Chugg is heading to Collingwood, while North Hobart's Patrick Walker is off to the Kangaroos. Patrick Walker was so nervous ahead of today's rookie draft, he took a completely different approach.
Decided to go for a round of golf and found out halfway through the round that my phone was starting to go off, and so I knew something had happened. After I found out sort of the golf went downhill, I couldn't keep my hands still.
Selected by the Kangaroos with pick 2, Walker is likely to play at half-back or on the wing and will take guidance from North's new Tasmanian coach, David Noble. The 18-year-old's parents were understandably proud.
Dad was emotional and hadn't seen him cry before, so that was the first, and same with Mum. Mum was still tearing up when I saw her just before.
Like Walker, Launceston's Isaac Chugg wasn't watching today's events unfold. Instead, he was at work.
So I was installing garage doors, then had I couldn't even count the amount of phone calls I had.
The Longford junior admits he was surprised to be picked up by the Pies after being dropped after round 1 for the Blues this season. But he fought his way back to play in the TSL Grand Final victory.
Jake Smith got it to the runner in Chugg. Good link up handball, he runs his full measure.
Drawing Collingwood's eye in the process.
Obviously, I wasn't good enough in the first round. I was sort of not skillful enough, and that was a big part of the TSL. I think that was one of the main parts that helped me improve my kicking and my disposals.
Mitch Thorpe likens Chug to Richmond's Basher Hooley.
He's a dashing half-back that's a really good kick, left-footer, so he's very, very similar to Basher.
Highly touted prospects like Jackson Callow, Ollie Davis and Sam Collins may have fallen victim to this year's scaled-down draft.
There's some terrific characters, in our group, and I'm sure that they'll put their best foot forward and have another crack at it.
The pair making the cut didn't have the NAB League platform for Victorian selectors, a testament to their success this year. Tasmania's blockbuster Big Bash schedule is about to begin, with the Hurricanes and the Sixers to open the season. Stand-in skipper Peter Hanscom will be the first to play with a raft of new rules designed to increase scoring and make the game more exciting.
If we feel there's a moment where we can implement one of the new rules, well then, we might go for it. But ultimately, we're going to put out a pretty good 11, and we're backing that 11 to get the job done.
And Richie Port has entered the upcoming Festival of Cycling in Adelaide, which is replacing the Tour Down Under next year. The Tasmanian is currently in hotel quarantine in Perth. Port saying on Instagram, isolation will be a piece of cake compared to the long-haul flight with 2 kids. The Festival of Cycling's 4-stage road race includes Port's beloved Wollonga Hill and will mark his 2021 debut riding for the Australian national team.
Good evening. Well, with our clear skies at the moment, star watchers are very excited as to how close Jupiter and its moons over there is so close to Saturn in our night sky. Can't see where my wife's from, Venus, but you've got to look somewhere else in the angles. Temperatures range from -2 at Mount Wellington today to our high of 21. That was in Launceston. Hobart recorded 17, Burnie and Devonport 18 degrees. Smithton, Friendly Beaches and Bushy Park 18, Flinders Island and Low Head 17, Strawn and King Island 16, Grove 15 and Lyoweeney 10. A few early showers over the west and far south today as low-level cloud moved over those areas, mostly clear for the rest of the state. A frontal band is now to our east with colder air replacing it. Cloud from Western Australia is streaming across central areas linked to a low. Tomorrow the high moves eastwards, extending a ridge over the Tasman Sea, a complex area of troughs set up over the mainland. Winds northwest-northeasterly over northern waters, but more southwest to southeasterly over remaining waters up to 20 to 30 knots in the east. A strong wind warning in the lower east from Wineglass Bay to southeast Cape. Forecast for tomorrow, 20 and cloudy in Hobart, cloudy for Huonville as well, 19 the top, 21 for Campania. Launceston, 7 overnight, 24 tomorrow and mostly sunny. Sunny for Devonport as well on 19, Georgetown 18 degrees. Burnie a high of 19 and fine and sunny, partly cloudy for Strawn but fine, 18, 19 the top for Wynyard. And completing the fine picture, St Helens 19 degrees along with Swansea, becoming windy and cloudy for Port Arthur, 17 the maximum. UV sitting on 10 tomorrow, that's very high on the scale. Fine on Saturday with light winds and possible afternoon sea breezes, fine and warm and mostly sunny on Sunday, and on Monday fine again apart from a light shower over the western tiers. Partly cloudy and 32 in Perth, warm and sunny in Adelaide, fine in Melbourne, a possible morning shower in Sydney, clearing just 21 there, a late shower for Brisbane, a possible storm in Darwin. In Hobart, it's partly cloudy, 16 currently, 19 in Launceston, Devonport sunny at the moment and 17 degrees. Now, Kim, I'd like to thank Malcolm from Moona, West Moona in fact, who sent in his favourite Christmas joke. A lovely thing that he sent in for me. He says, can you please read out this Christmas joke, Murph? What did Mrs Claus say to Santa when she saw the clouds? It looks like reindeer. Now, other viewers, if you'd like to think about putting a joke on paper and sending it to us, think again.
Please do. They are bound to be better than Murph's. Thank you, Malcolm. Very good. That's your news for now. Thanks for joining us this evening. Good night.